prices have stopped falling in the Greater Toronto Area. What does this all mean? Are prices actually rebounding? Or is it just kind of like a seasonal bump, right? Because historically, sales and prices for August are not as good as July. However, they are this year in 2022. This means that the average price in August and sales is higher than it was in July, which is totally abnormal. So I'm going to break down the latest set of numbers for you and going to be giving you an idea of what's to come, knowing that we should be expecting a busier fall market for the Toronto real estate market, right? So if you are looking for some transparent, honest, and data-oriented guidance on how to navigate this real estate market, then you could book a strategy call with me using the link that's on the screen right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com. Simply click on the date and a time that works best for you. And then when you see the prompt, fill in your name, email, mobile phone number, and the question you have for me, and then we'll chat then. Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Properties TV. My name is Zen, and I run a Remax brokerage in the Greater Toronto Area, in addition to making some awesome educational real estate content for you like today's. Now, recently, I jumped on the Tom Story podcast last week to chat with Tom and Steve about the market, interest rates, distressed pre-con buyers, sellers, and a whole lot more. And I'm pretty sure at some point we were talking about facial hair as well. So if you want to hear three professionals have kind of like a fireside chat about those topics or even some other things, I'll put a link to that video and their podcast in the description right here so you guys can check it out. And while you guys are at it, make sure you give them a like and subscribe because they're putting out some really awesome industry specific content, especially if you're in our industry in real estate, right? Now, for this week, I also swapped the order of the videos around. So if you are looking for that reaction video, that's going to be on Thursday that I'm releasing that, which is after the rate hike we'll see tomorrow. Alrighty, so let's look at the latest real estate numbers. Have a look over here. You can see that the average price is about $1,080,000, so 1080, up like half a point from last month, and actually not down year over year, but more on that later. Now, the sales are about 15% to like 5,600, and I thought it would actually clock in much lower in the latter half of the month, but we really ramped up transactions, which, by the way, is super strange. But I was kind of saying the showing activity was freakishly strong from early parts of August relative to what it was in July. Although you do have to keep in mind that July was a 22-year low, right? Yeah. Now you got the other points here, which you got a reduction in new listings, a reduction in active listings, and months of inventory. So all five indicators I'm looking at right now tell me a story where the market is trending upwards. Now, before anyone gets excited about us seeing February 2022 prices again, we are not. And I've been saying this for a long time this year. A month doesn't make a trend, but a trend does start with a month. So keep that in mind. And I'll repeat what I think is going to happen in the next 2 to 3 months, which let's just call it the short term. Sales and prices should go up by a smidgen because of the seasonal norm from the fall market, and you get that bump up. Things should be going down month over month after November. And I suspect that we'll start seeing the year over year number look bad. And that's probably around like the October, November point where things will get confusing for most people who are trying to understand and grasp what the heck is going on in the market. Anything after that is honestly like anyone's guess with the uncertainty in the economy right now with rates and deglobalization. So no one has a crystal ball. And yes, these thoughts do include the 75 bips that I think we're going to get tomorrow. Now let's look at the micro market I have over here. You can see that everything is down from last month in July, except for Toronto detaches and non-Toronto 905 towns. I personally wouldn't put too much stock in these numbers. And while these are very large monthly movements, the market is what I would still say it's kind of like it's trying to discover what the new price norm is, right? So a discovery mode. So it'll skew up or down over the next little months as it kind of figures that out. And I said this when the Toronto detaches fell 13% last month. And I'm going to say the exact same thing this month, even though it's up 9%. Lots of price discovery in both up and down markets, right? Because the sample size may not be that large. Now, if you are looking for the data that breaks down, like what I put out normally on the Market Watch, the numbers in each specific city on a month-to-month basis since February 2020, which was the peak. So you generally have an idea of how your neighborhood is doing. And come on, let's be real. You are not Canadian unless you are always wondering what the value of your home is, right? And I say that jokingly, but it is true. So if you do want that data, it looks something like this. I'll put that into the description below, or you can go on the link that's on the screen right now to download it. Now, fun fact, when you go through that data, King City is up 280% in a month, which means that in a month it's tripled in price. Yes, that is a thing. And that's because $80 million parcel of land I can see over here skewed the numbers really high. Now, I'm actually pretty sure on the TREB data, they removed this specific data point because it was such an outlier that it would have skewed the GTA average price by skewed it up to 1.1, which would have kind of presented a bull case for the number, but bravo TREB for removing it. So if you are looking for the data for your specific city, you can download the link here or the link in the description below. Now, if you found this content useful, make sure you help us spread the knowledge, because I'm pretty sure someone out there will probably find it useful as well. So smash that like button and subscribe to the Prime Property channel. And you can share with a lot of your friends who are trying to follow the real estate market so that they also will know when I drop sick content like this. Now, if you are looking for some advice, whether you're an investor, a seller, or a buyer, you can book a strategy call with me using the link that's on the screen. As usual, it's over here. It's www.chatwithzen.com. Now back to the numbers, right? So let me show you this chart here, which is the month-over-month stats for the year of 2022. And you can see that the 5 cells, there's basically 5 months of red. That's when the market was going downwards because of the interest rate hike, right? So this month, so August, this last month, is the first time essentially in what is almost half a year where things are not trending downwards, right? And it doesn't mean that we won't go down to more later on in the year, like I said earlier, but I think the chance of the market, going up slightly, maybe a little bit, and call it stabilizing, is also high as well. I would say it's actually a little bit higher than coming down. And I've shown this chart many times before in the last month or so. The difference between when you move from the month of August to September is the starkest difference between the months in terms of average price, because prices from August to September actually increased the most on a monthly basis, right? And that's because you're going from the second slowest month seasonally, which is August, to September, which is actually a really busy month. And that stark between the two is really stark, right? And the only year where you didn't see the price go up is 2001. So when you pull back all the numbers and look at this chart on a year-over-year comparison, you can see that orange and the blue line, which are touching, that's basically the current price right now on average. And even though we are up month over month from July to August, essentially we're at the same prices as where we were last year in August of 2021, meaning prices have gone up and they reverted back down to where we were a year ago. And the difference is like $5,000 or something, which is very, very small in the grand scheme of things. So, same. Now, let me show you how the narrative is going to look like the next few months, right? So taking what I just told you, assume the best case for the market in the next 3 to 4 months is going to be what I said, which is stabilizing. Prices go up or down, very minor amount, right? So flat line. You can see that in this modified version of the chart, the narrative for the short term is going to be positive, from the month-to-month basis, but it's going to look really bad and it's going to be negative on a year-over-year comparison. And I personally thought we would start seeing the negative year-over-year changes in August, but it kind of shocked me how strong August was. So we'll probably start seeing that towards the fall market, because last year during the fall market is when prices started running up. And I personally don't see that type of acceleration this year, meaning that as we proceed to the last few months of the year, knowing that we're going to flatline in the best case scenario, the year-over-year prices are going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So brace yourself for the negative news headlines, because negative news sells, right? Now I'm going to change your attention to some other indicators I was looking at of the 5. The third one will be active listings. It's down from July and still below the 20-year average. And this tells me that we've absorbed a lot of the listings that we got, which means the month of inventory is down, which is exactly what I said at the start of the video. But do keep in mind that we should see a burst of listings this week and next week. So we'll see, how many buyers are out there relative to the new listings, or how many of the old listings are being relisted come this market when you mix in all the interest rate hikes that we're getting tomorrow, right? Then you got the sales chart, which is over here. And you can see that we are below the 20-year average, which is fine, because I expected it to actually be lower than it was in July, which was the 20-year low. So don't worry too much. Now, the last one is the new listings, which is right over here. And you're basically on the same as the moving average in the last 20 years, give or take. However, it is a bit lower than the 10-year average. And if it were true that there was pressure to fire sale properties because people can't handle it, trigger rates and all that stuff, we should be seeing more listings now and later, which tells me that because we're not, I think a lot of people are still holding out. For how long? We're going to have to see, because this is exactly why I was saying the fall market is going to be critical in which direction it's going. Are people holding out and seeing if they can see a sell and a bounce back, or are the buyers still looking and given things have stabilized, right? So that's why September is a very telltale sign of which direction the market's heading in the short term after and we'll find out mid-October or so, right? That's a wrap for this month's Market Watch. Hope you guys enjoyed your long weekend, and let's brace ourselves for tomorrow's rate hike. I said, I think it's going to be 70 bips, higher chance of 100, lower chance for 50, but I'll report back on Thursday with my reaction video. Now, if you are looking for some help on how to navigate this type of real estate market specifically, because it's all wonky and weird everywhere, specifically in the Greater Toronto area, you can book a strategy call with me using the link that's on the screen right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya! Now that you're done watching this one, how about this one? Oh, you know what? This one's good too. Ooh, this one's really good. You know what? Just watch them both.